Hi everyone. Finally I'm able to shoot videos outside, thanks to the good weather we have today. And that's the reason why we're gonna review this. Wait. The Asahi Pentax Spotmatic. I guess that's the reason why they call this the never ready case. Let's check this out. If you are a returning viewer on my channel, you know that every time I talk about a camera I say this is one of my favorite cameras, and that's true, but this guy, well, it's a little bit different. It would be on my top 3 cameras. Why? Well, you see, this camera was released in 1964, but this particular model is from 1969, and that's perfect to me. Just to think that this camera would have been there to take pictures at the Woodstock Music Festival or the Saturn V rocket taking off is just mesmerizing. And you know, if I had the opportunity to travel in time with a one-way ticket, I would probably go to 1969. Come on, the music was just awesome, and so were the movies, and although 1969 was not the best time to be alive for everybody, society was heading towards a good direction, so 1969 it is. This chipper has been featured in my previous videos, but now it is fully restored. Pretty cool, huh? Now let's talk about technology and 2012. That was literally 10 years ago. Technology was not really different back then. I mean, we already had YouTube, social media, and digital cameras, laptops, and most of the time technology was not that different. It's slightly evolved, but not really like groundbreaking advances. Things were a little bit different back in 1969. You see, technology was advancing at a really fast pace. If you compare the Spotmatic to the Adixa camera that came out like 10 years before, the Adixa looks ancient and passé, obsolete almost. On the right-hand side on the Spotmatic, you have a self-resetting counter. This red and black indicator tells you, like on a GUN, that it is ready to fire. You also get the classical shutter speed selector from 1 second to 1/1000, coupled with the ISO selector. No hot shoe for the flash, it was not common back then. If you want to connect a flash, you're going to use these 2 PC connectors. One is noted FP and the other one is X. If you're using an electronic flash, you always use the X, like in electronics. And on the left hand side, you think this is a setting, but no, this is a reminder. Bankroll for black and white film, color film for tungsten or daylight, and empty. That way you know for sure which type of film is inside your camera, or if there is none. There you have the switch, which also acts as a depth of field preview, and on the other side the self-timer for taking selfies, but back then it was not meant to take selfies, it was more for a group photography where you wanted to be in the group, family portraits, family groups. The Spotmatic is also an awesome camera for image quality. Some people say that the Takuma lens it comes with is a close second to a Leica camera. And look, it is a sharp lens. It's really sharp, even at wide aperture. You can now take pictures in the dark without any fear of a blurry image or something. This is a small bottle cap. And if you don't believe me that the camera is sharp, let's give this a try. Something that is worth mentioning about this camera is the battery. You see, this camera was originally meant to be used with a mercury battery, which is not available anymore. But Pentax created the circuit, so the camera will automatically compensate for variation in the battery's voltage when it gets old. It works the other way around. That means that now you can easily use a silver oxide battery with a 1.5 volt, and there's no need to recalibrate the camera. As you might have noticed, the battery has a spacer ring, plastic ring around it. This is a special and specific to this camera, but if you don't have a spare battery or an old one to use the plastic spacer, just go online and look for Bulova Accutron battery. These are the same batteries that were used in the Bulova Cutron luxury watch, and they're still available. And once you have the spacer, you can just pop in another battery from a watchmaker. Talking about the battery, there was one warning in the user manual. They mention a report that an infant swallowed a mercury battery, and they literally say that he suffered from stomach inflammation and gripes. That's probably the most 1960s thing I can read in a user manual like this. Come on, a kid swallowed a battery? Well, he got the trots and some belly aches. Nowadays, if that was to happen, they would probably bring people in hazmat suits. But don't do that. Batteries are not edible. And using this camera is pretty straightforward. You turn it on with the switch, and it's just as easy as centering the needle. Nothing complicated about this. Along with the user manual, I also got this sales brochure and this price list. And let's have a look. This is Belgian francs. Back then this was a local currency before the euro. And if I run this figure in an inflation calculator, it is around 2,600 bucks. The Pentax Spotmatic was definitely not a cheap camera. A professional item, something valuable, a prized possession for anybody who owned it. The Pentax Spotmatic was not the first Pentax to hit the European market, but it was certainly the most successful one. You see, it was not a cheap camera, but people bought it, making it a mythical camera. The lenses, the Takuma, are really sought after by photographers and cinematographers for their awesome results, and as you can see from all the samples I showed in this video, this is totally justified. I mean, the camera is just a piece of marvel. And yeah, that's one of my favorites and also one of my top 3. So this is my video, this is my take on the Pentax Spotmatic. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.